Mr. Wilkinson. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on your inspiring speech that you made for us tonight. It was a pleasure to hear it. Could you tell us how you first got involved with the captive nations?
Well, quite easily, because I was first a prospective parliamentary candidate and then a member of parliament in this city. And I was in Bradford, active in politics for 6 years as a candidate, and for 4 years as member of parliament. And I always had the very closest relations with the Ukrainian and other captive nations communities. And they responded very excitingly, really, to any initiative that I made. And I learned so much from them that I think it was a mutual involvement, quite honestly.
Could you tell us something about your work in the European Freedom Council? You've recently become president of this organization.
Yes, I'm very pleased and proud to have that office. I think it's an important one because in the Western democracies there is far too much ignorance now about what goes on behind the Iron Curtain. And the purpose of the European Freedom Council is quite simply to inform people better in the West of what the situation is in the captive nations, and also, I think, to involve in a more effective way, to coordinate the activities of organizations and individuals against communism.
You mentioned earlier on that there's a possibility that Captive Nations Week will be commemorated by the British public. What do you see are the chances for success in this matter?
Well, it will depend very much on the support of the community. I mean, English and people of Ukrainian and other origin within the UK. We have this early day motion, as it is called, on the order paper of the House of Commons. At the end of the week, it had over 120 signatures, which is very encouraging. I would have been happier if we'd had 500 signatures, but that's a good start if you think that those 120 signatures were all put on the order paper in the course of 1 week, the third week in July, Captive Nations Week. Now that the members of Parliament have given a lead, I think it's up to their constituents and people who care to show that they are also supporting this enterprise, and then the government, I think, will be more ready to accede to it.
I understand that you've also been involved with the ABN. Can you tell us something about your involvement with this organization and what your impressions of the Eastern European nations that I think you've seen them throughout the world, at least in Europe and United States?
That is right. Well, I think the ABN does a magnificent job. Its publications, its conferences, and all its activities are most impressive. The leadership, I think, of Jaroslav Stetsko has been quite fantastic over the past 40 years. Really, his inspiration has been behind so much that they've achieved. I've just come back from Washington, where we had a conference to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the designation of Captive Nations Week and the formation of the ABN. Vice President Bush spoke at that occasion, and President Reagan himself, as well as senators and congressmen and anti-communist leaders from all countries of the world almost, all countries of the free world. And I think the degree of commitment that there is to the cause of freedom in the Western Hemisphere, if I can put it that, should be reflected more in the European Hemisphere. And I hope that we can make the ABN even more successful by our efforts here in Europe.
Is there anything that you would like to say for the young people before we finish? Or is there anything that you'd like to say for the young people, for our young people? Well, thank you very much for your time.
Well, yes, I would. I've absolutely loved tonight's concert, as I've always enjoyed the previous ones. I adore the singing, the music, the rich heritage of culture, the dancing. The dancers I admire more than anything. I think the fitness that they show astounds me. You must have not only a great musical talent and rhythmic talent, but strong knees, I think. And it's obviously great fun, and that's infectious. And if you enjoy something as much as the young people have enjoyed tonight's concert and all their activities, then I think it'll have a very wide effect. And it's been absolutely marvellous, and I congratulate them.
Mr. John Wilkinson, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.